Hey guys! So today we're going to review some of the things we've been talking about in the past few videos. I've got some interference and some pearlescence powder that I'm going to mix with these different mediums to see what kind of effects we get. See how much things are either blocked or make them shine more. We're just going to see a little bit. Most of these are gloss mediums. The Floetrol is going to be a matte medium, but I also have this illuminating medium, which is kind of a glittery addition. I've got GAC 800, Liquitex gloss medium, Lucas Krill pouring medium, the Artist Loft pouring medium, Amsterdam pouring medium. So what I plan on doing is going ahead and mixing some dioxazine purple and interference violet and mixing that with everything. And then I'm going to do a combination of the Hansa Yellow Light and Pearlescence Aztec Gold and do that with everything. And then we'll be able to compare what kind of differences, if any, that we can spot between them. So anyways, I'm going to get these paints mixed up and then we'll mix them all together and then we'll pour them on something. So stay tuned.
Alright, so I recorded footage of the process of mixing all of these paints and applying them to the canvas. Unfortunately, one of the new lights I bought does not agree with the camera. The time-lapse ended up having a horrible flicker to it. So, we're skipping that part and diving straight into looking at them. I mixed all of the mediums with the two color mixtures. Some I needed to add a bit of water to thin. I also combined the color mixtures with the plain water to show as well. You'll notice right away the biggest difference that we get is the amount of light the mediums reflect. The Floetrol and water do not have that extra gloss shine to them. They still have a shimmer due to the effects pigments we added, but the way the light bounces off is different. The gloss mediums seem to cause the colors to have more depth to them. The extra shine enhances the effects of the mica and the interference that we've added. The only one that I can spot that has a slight difference in overall color is the illuminating medium. It appears to become a slightly lighter tint. I believe this is due to the mica and the medium being one that produces white light. So, when choosing a medium, it really just boils down to what appearance you would like for the finished product to have. The gloss mediums produce a reflective surface that causes colors to appear more saturated and enhances the effects of the mica. The Floetrol has a flat look to it. The shine from the mica still occurs, but it's dulled slightly. It does not have that extra reflection to work with the effects pigments. The water mixture is going to be the equivalent of painting your mixture directly on the canvas. The water completely evaporates, leaving you with just the acrylic and mica. Keep in mind, if you would like to use Floetrol as your medium, but you still want to have that extra color saturation, you can always put a coat of gloss varnish or resin over it. It will immediately deepen those colors. If you prefer the flatter look, just use a matte finish varnish to keep the appearance and protect your painting. When going this route, the extra matte in the varnish may further dull the light reaching the effects pigments, so keep that in mind as well. We learned that paint pigments use the subtractive light theory to achieve their color. When the light shines on the paint, it is filtering out certain wavelengths by absorbing them. The remaining rays are bounced back to our eyes. Wavelengths are therefore subtracted from the original white light to give the appearance of a certain color. When we work with mica, interference, pearlescence, or other effects pigments, we're using the additive light theory. We're working with light in a new way. Try to think of these pigment types as little colored lights encased in a medium. When working with the additive theory, you're starting out with white light separated out into individual colors. By combining those back together, you will eventually come back to white light. By adding the lights in different quantities, you can produce a range of colors. When we mix color pigments and effects pigments, we're combining the two theories. To make the most effective mixes, we will need to take into consideration the wavelengths each pigment will reflect or absorb. Remember, pigments also come in different transparencies. Transparent pigments will allow more light to cross through into any effects pigments that are mixed with it. As you increase the opacity of the paint, you will also need to increase the amount of effects pigments used in order to produce similar results. Don't forget to also check your paint bottles to see what pigments you're actually working with. Sometimes you will have multiple pigments in one bottle. Just remember, when using them, combining too many can cause your mixes to become muddy and dull. I wanted to give you a basic rundown of how each type of pigment behaves in relation to the light shining on it. I've narrowed it down to pearlescence, interference, mica, metallic, fluorescent, phosphorescent, and the 3 transparencies of acrylic paint pigments. Here's a quick summary of how each pigment interacts with the light shining on it. I made this demo board of each of the pigments so you can see how these definitions translate to the canvas. From left to right, you will see pearlescence powder, gold interference, blue interference, micaceous iron oxide, metallic gold, metallic silver, fluorescent yellow, glow-in-the-dark powder, and transparent, semi-opaque, and opaque versions of phthalo blue. I learned something fairly interesting about silver paint while I was making this board. I can't be 100% that this is the case across the board for all silver pigments, but the ones that I have are mica mixed with black pigment. The gold was simply labeled mica. Going off this information, I believe if you wanted to try to make your own, you can take pearlescence powder and mix it with a small amount of black pigment to achieve that metallic silver color. I've not tested this yet, but given what we've learned, I'm fairly certain that it would work. I'll give it a whirl in my next mixing session. So, what is the main takeaway from all of this information? Well, color mixing can be a journey. There are tons of ways to go about getting to the colors that you're trying to achieve. Understanding how the pigments that you're using work in the first place is step number 1 to improving your results. I still believe that the best way to start mixing your own custom mix colors is to just go for it. You can learn about the color and light theories all day long, but until you see it in action, it's just that, theory. Being able to see the changes with each new addition is the best way to understand how these things come into play. I find the process of making new color mixes to be such an enjoyable experience. Watching the colors transform and take on new appearance is like magic. There's so many combinations to be discovered. Once you start to understand how all the elements interact with each other, your color choices skyrocket. Well guys, I think that's about it. We've covered quite a bit of information over the past few videos. I want to say again, you don't have to be an expert to start mixing. Go for it and see what you come up with. If you're getting muddy colors or your effects pigments aren't showing up the way that you thought, step back and consider how each pigment interacts with light. You may be getting muddy colors because you mixed too many pigments together, or your effects pigments may be blocked because they were canceled out by the color pigment. Once you've found the likely culprit, you can adjust your mix accordingly. I hope that I was able to give you a bit of a starting point on your custom color mixing journey. This series was meant to give you some ideas about the mixing properties of color and light. With these guidelines, you're on the road to creating the colors that you've dreamed about. So, what are you waiting for? Start mixing! I would love to hear from you guys about what colors you've come up with. Did you create a fantastic color that you want to share? Tag me at New Normal Designs on Instagram. I want to see what you're making. If you guys have any requests for the next deep dive series, or if you have any questions about what we covered here, let me know in the comments below. I have a ton of bloom paint to go through, so I'll have several new pours to share with you guys in the meantime. If you haven't already, please take a second to like and subscribe. I am so thankful to all of you that tune in to my videos and so excited to see this channel grow. That's it from me. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!